My name is Julian Carter, and I was just 18 years old when everything changed. It was December 22nd, 2024, the kind of cold Arizona winter evening that still manages to catch you off guard. I died on a basketball court. That's what they told me later, at least. But before that night, I was nothing more than a typical kid from Scottsdale. My days blurred between playing point guard for our varsity team, clocking hours at my uncle's dusty, grease-scented auto shop, and late-night gaming marathons with my best friends online. Life was ordinary and hectic all at once. My mom worked insane double shifts as a nurse, always coming home smelling faintly of antiseptic and fatigue, yet somehow managing a smile that made our small, cluttered apartment feel like home. My dad was a trucker, the kind with calloused hands and a voice that rumbled like distant thunder when he laughed. Money was tight, but we never lacked love. Grandma tried to keep me tethered to church with her gentle invites, but honestly, I was too focused on that basketball scholarship to care about God. My dreams were dribbles, dunks, and buzzer beaters, not prayers. That night, everything happened in the final moments of our championship game. The gym was packed, the air thick with sweat and nervous energy, the crowd buzzing like a hive ready to erupt. We were down by 3 points with just 2 minutes left. I remember the ball feeling like it had a mind of its own when I stole it, an electric thrill pulsing through my fingers. I dashed down the court, heart pounding, crowd roaring in my ears, and then suddenly, a sharp, crushing pain exploded in my chest like a freight train crashing through a tunnel. I hit the hardwood with a force that knocked the breath out of me. Above me, the gym lights blurred into a dizzying kaleidoscope as my teammates' frantic voices called my name, their panic slicing through the chaos. And then, everything went black. But it wasn't darkness like I expected. It was like walking out of a suffocating dim cave and into the warmest, most brilliant sunlight you could imagine. Only this light didn't blind me. It embraced me. I wasn't in my body anymore. Instead, I hovered above the court, watching the paramedics scramble, the sweat pouring down my coach's face, and my mom bursting through the throng, eyes wide with terror. And yet, I didn't feel fear. Instead, a deep, soothing calm washed over me, like sinking into a bath of warm honey that numbs all pain and worry. It was so strange, like every trouble and worry I'd ever carried evaporated in that moment. Then, footsteps echoed behind me. I turned, and there he was, an overwhelming presence I can only describe as indescribable. Jesus. Not like the paintings or statues, but more alive, like the color blue if you had never seen color before. Something so pure and impossible to put into words. Just knowing it was him felt like coming home. His gaze met mine, and suddenly, all the mistakes I'd made flashed like lightning. Every lie, every harsh word to my sister, every selfish thought. I should have cringed with shame or fear, but instead, I was wrapped in a love so fierce and tender, it felt like the softest blanket on the coldest night. "Julian," he said, his voice both like thunder rolling across the plains and the gentle lullabies my mom hummed when I was a kid. "Walk with me." We didn't walk like people do on Earth. Instead, we floated, drifting through clouds that shimmered with colors I had no names for, living clouds that pulsed with warmth and light. I wanted to ask a million questions, but I could only follow. "Lord," I whispered, after what felt like both an eternity and a moment. "Am I dead?" He smiled, a smile so full of joy, it unlocked something inside me I didn't know was missing. "Your body is struggling," he said, "but your spirit is very much alive. I have something to show you, Julian, something important." Suddenly, we were standing on a mountain that stretched farther than the eye could see, a vast throne overlooking the entire Earth. The planet spun slowly beneath us like a fragile glass marble, swirling in breathtaking blues and greens. It was the most beautiful sight I had ever seen. "The time is short," Jesus said, his voice sharpening like a sword. "My Father's plan is unfolding exactly as it was written. I want to show you how the pieces fit together." He waved his hand, and the air before us split into shimmering windows. In one, I saw a man with fiery, orange hair standing behind a podium flanked by American flags. The man's sharp gaze and booming voice stirred something familiar in me. "President Trump," I breathed. Jesus nodded. "My Father placed him in this position for such a time as this. Watch closely." Through the window, I saw President Trump pacing, making urgent phone calls, meeting with generals under harsh fluorescent lights, signing thick stacks of papers with a deliberate hand. What amazed me were the golden threads of light, linking every action, each word, each decision, each social media post, into a bigger design, a divine chessboard where every move was critical. "He doesn't even know it," Jesus said softly, "but every choice he makes is preparing the way for the final battle between good and evil. My Father uses all things, Julian, even those who don't understand their purpose." The scene shifted like the turning of a page in a book I didn't want to put down. Now I found myself looking over a land painted in shadows and turmoil, the Middle East. The sky hung heavy with dark, roiling clouds that seemed to breathe menace. Below, the streets of Iran were flooded with a sea of people. Some bowed in desperate prayer, faces carved with hope and fear, others shouting with fiery rage, their voices raw and thunderous. "Iran will make a move that seems devastating," Jesus said quietly, his voice steady but heavy with gravity. "But that move will ignite the very chain of events that brings about my return. The rulers there think they serve their own cause, but they're unwittingly serving mine." My heart pounded hard against my ribs as I watched missiles rise from hidden silos, their fiery tails cutting through the sky, racing toward Israel. Panic flared in me like a wildfire. But then Jesus laid his hand gently on my shoulder, and calm washed over me like a gentle tide pulling back the storm. "This will happen before the year ends," he said, "but do not fear. Every explosion, every tear shed in terror, every whispered prayer rising from the ashes, these are the birth pains of a new world, my world." As if on cue, a new window materialized in the shimmering air. Through it, I saw a tall, intense man in a cluttered factory. The space buzzed with machinery. Rockets lined the walls like silent sentinels, and sleek electric cars gleamed under harsh fluorescent light. The man's eyes never rested. They were sharp, restless, like someone chasing the future itself. "Elon Musk," I breathed, feeling the name vibrate with weight. "Yes," Jesus replied. "He believes he's reaching for the stars, but I am using his gifts to prepare humanity for what lies beyond the great shaking. The technology he crafts, the connections he builds, the platforms he controls, all will serve to carry my gospel to every corner of the earth in the final days." I watched in awe as rockets blasted off into the star-speckled sky. Electric cars hummed quietly along endless highways, and satellites blinked awake, connecting isolated villages to the vast web of the internet. Golden threads of light shimmered and danced through all these scenes, linking them into a tapestry far greater than any human mind could grasp. "But Lord," I asked, my voice small against the vastness of what I was witnessing, "how does it all connect? What is the meaning behind this?" Jesus smiled. That same smile that felt like sunlight after a storm. Suddenly, all three windows merged, becoming one colossal vision, a celestial tapestry alive with movement and purpose. I saw President Trump making a bold decision, a move that forced Iran's hand, pushing them into a reckless act. I saw Iran's response, a sudden, fiery storm shaking the world's foundations. And I saw Elon Musk's technology pulsing through the chaos, broadcasting the gospel into places where the name of Jesus had never been heard. "The enemy believes he is winning when chaos descends," Jesus explained, his voice calm but fierce. "But chaos is only the breaking of the old world, cracking open space for the new. Trump, Iran, Elon, they are all part of my Father's symphony, Julian. Each plays their part, whether they know it or not." I saw believers worldwide dropping to their knees, tears streaking down faces of every color and creed. Muslims, Jews, Christians, and others, all crying out for peace, for mercy, for hope. And then, the vision shifted to Jesus himself, preparing to step back into this world, no longer a helpless baby wrapped in swaddling clothes, but a king, robed in power, ready to reclaim his throne. "When will this happen?" I asked, trembling with a mix of fear and awe. "Sooner than most expect, but later than the fearful believe," he answered. "My Father's timing is perfect, not a second too soon, not a moment too late." The vision faded, and we were back on that endless mountain, overlooking the spinning earth. I felt overwhelmed, my chest tight with the weight of it all, but underneath, a strange thrill of hope surged. "Why are you showing me this?" I whispered, searching his face for an answer. Jesus turned fully to me, eyes burning with love and urgency. "Because you are going back, Julian. You will tell others what you have seen." My heart dropped. "I don't want to go back. Here is peace. Down there, it's hard. It's painful." He reached out and touched my cheek, his hand warm and steady, like a lighthouse in a storm. "I know, son, but your mission is not finished. Your mom needs you. Your little sister needs you, and the world needs to hear your story." Tears slid down my face, heavy and unbidden. "But who will believe me? I'm just a kid." He smiled gently, as if recalling 1,000 stories. "I chose a child to lead my people out of Egypt. I chose a shepherd boy to defeat a giant. I chose fishermen to change the world. Age means nothing to me, Julian. Faith means everything." He looked down at the earth below us again. "Some will mock you, some will doubt, some will rage, but others will hear the truth in your words and prepare their hearts. That's all I need, a few prepared hearts." I wanted to argue, to beg him to let me stay in that light, in that peace. But his eyes told me the choice had already been made. "There is one more thing," he said. From a pocket of glowing light, he pulled out a small object, shining like a golden seed. "Take this with you." He placed it in my palm, and a surge of electricity shot through me, warming every nerve. "What is it?" "Hope," he said, softly. "When the chaos comes, when fear grips the world, when evil seems to triumph, remember this feeling. Remember I am in control. Remember that every tear will be wiped away, every wrong will be made right, and every knee will bow." The golden seed melted into my skin, settling deep in my chest, right next to my heart. "It is time," Jesus said. "Will I see you again?" I asked. He smiled, that radiant smile one last time. "Sooner than you think." Suddenly I was falling, but it wasn't the terrifying free fall I had imagined. It was gentle, like being cradled by invisible hands, soft and slow, almost like drifting through water. The light around me grew so bright it was nearly blinding, flooding every corner of my vision with a dazzling glow. Then, abruptly, pain slammed through my chest like a lightning bolt, sharp, searing, almost unbearable. The world snapped back into focus with the harsh sounds of life. I heard my mom screaming my name, her voice trembling and raw with fear, tears dripping down her cheeks like rain. I saw the worried eyes of a paramedic, wide and filled with disbelief. "He's back," the paramedic whispered, stunned. "He's actually back." I tried to speak, but my throat felt like sandpaper, rough and dry. My mom grabbed my hand, squeezing so tightly I thought my fingers might break. "Julian, baby, you've been gone for 23 minutes, she sobbed, voice breaking. "Your heart stopped." The doctor couldn't finish the sentence, but I didn't need her to. I had been dead, completely gone, and yet somehow I was alive again. The next few days blurred together in a dizzying swirl of hospital rooms, endless tests, hushed conversations between doctors, and flashing cameras from reporters hungry for a miracle story. The medical staff couldn't explain what had happened. My heart was perfectly healthy. Every scan, every test, every machine confirmed it. My brain showed no signs of damage from the oxygen deprivation. According to the cold facts, I was just a normal, healthy 16-year-old boy. But I knew I wasn't normal anymore. The first thing that changed was how I prayed. Before, prayer felt like shouting into the empty sky, talking to a ceiling no one was listening to. Now, when I prayed, I could feel the golden seed in my chest, glowing warm and steady like a small sun. I knew, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that God was listening. Really listening. The second change was in how I saw people. It was as if Jesus had given me a new pair of glasses, spiritual glasses. I could look at someone and sense if their heart was searching for God, if they were hurting, if they needed hope. It was a strange, beautiful gift. The third change came in my dreams. Night after night, I would drift into sleep only to find myself back in those visions Jesus had shown me. I saw President Trump pacing in shadowy rooms, making decisions I knew were real, though I couldn't explain how. I saw tensions in Iran simmering and boiling over, felt the weight of it like a storm waiting to break. I saw Elon Musk burning the midnight oil, shaping projects that would reshape humanity's future. Slowly, carefully, I began to share my story. The first person I told was my pastor. I spilled every detail, the lights, the pain, the peace, the visions, the golden threads linking it all together. He listened without interrupting, his face unreadable at first, then filled with a deep, quiet understanding. "Julian," he finally said, his voice steady but heavy. "I've been pastoring for 30 years. I've heard a lot of stories, but there's something different about yours. Something real." He helped me understand that what I'd experienced wasn't just a near-death experience, but a prophetic vision, an actual glimpse into God's plan for the end times. Word spread slowly. At first, it was just a few people from our church. Then, some from other churches. Then, even people who didn't attend church but were searching for answers. I started speaking at youth groups, then small gatherings, then larger events. Not everyone believed me. Some called me crazy. Others said I was seeking attention. A few adults became angry, saying a kid shouldn't be speaking about such serious things. But for every skeptic, there was someone who listened and felt that same golden warmth inside. People who had drifted far from God started praying again. Those who had been paralyzed by fear found a fragile peace. People confused by the chaos around them began to see God's hand in the headlines. I know what you're thinking. Where's the proof? When will these things happen? I don't have dates. I don't have news clips from the future. Jesus didn't hand me a newspaper to validate what I saw. What he gave me were spiritual truths, how God moves through world events in ways invisible to most. Since my experience, I watch the news differently. When President Trump makes decisions, when tensions flare in the Middle East, when Elon Musk unveils new technologies, I see those golden threads weaving everything into God's grand design. Some people believe my story not because I predicted the future, but because something in it resonates deep inside them, something true. But the most important thing that's happened since that night isn't the prophecies coming true. It's the change in hearts. I've received letters from all over the country. Parents telling me their children started praying again. Elderly people saying they're no longer afraid to die because they know Jesus is waiting. Strangers saying my story gave them hope in a hopeless time. That's when it hit me. Jesus sent me back not just to talk about politics or prophecies or end times. He sent me back to share hope. Because when chaos comes, and it will, people will be terrified. They'll think the world is ending and God has abandoned them. But I've seen the end of the story. I've looked into Jesus' eyes, felt his love, and seen how every piece of confusion fits into his perfect plan. I've seen the wars and, rumors of wars, the signs in the heavens, the shaking of nations, not as chaos or God losing control, but as God's hand moving with precision and power. The old world is breaking down, tearing apart, making space for something new. It's a sacred destruction. President Trump, the leaders of Iran, Elon Musk, they are all instruments in God's grand orchestra. Some of them know it, some don't. But every note they play, every move they make, is part of a divine symphony. And the most beautiful part? This symphony ends with Jesus coming back, not as a helpless baby in a manger, not as a suffering servant, but as a conquering king. Every tear will be wiped away. Every wrong will be made right. Every single person who ever called on his name will be with him forever. I know it sounds impossible. 6 months ago, if someone had told me this story, I probably would have laughed and dismissed it. But now I've been there. I've seen him. I've felt his love. I've witnessed his plan. And I am telling you, with everything in me, no matter how dark things get, no matter how scared you become, no matter how much the world seems to be falling apart, God is in control. The golden seed He planted in my heart burns brighter every day. Sometimes I feel it stirring, like a flower ready to bloom into something incredible. Maybe it will happen when He returns. Maybe it will happen when I see Him again. I don't know. But here's what I do know. If you're listening to my story right now and you feel that same warmth deep in your chest, that's Jesus calling you. He wants you to be part of His plan too. He wants to give you hope for what's coming. You don't have to die and come back to life to know Him. You don't have to see visions to believe. You just have to open your heart and let Him in. Because, ready or not, the symphony is about to reach its crescendo. And when it does, you're going to want to be on the right side of the music. The time is short, but there's still time. In those quiet moments after my return, life didn't simply snap back to normal. Everything had changed, inside me and in the way I saw the world. I walked the halls of my school differently. I looked at my mom and sister with new eyes full of love and understanding. The noise of everyday life felt both heavier and more meaningful. Every conversation, every glance, every heartbeat seemed charged with purpose. I realized that winning this wasn't about fame or the basketball court or even surviving death. It was about carrying a message of hope, of faith, and of the incredible love that can't be undone by pain or fear. I won because I was chosen to tell this story. I won because, even when everything seemed lost, God's light never left me. And I won because you don't have to be perfect or powerful to make a difference, just willing. If you're hearing my story and it touched your heart, I want you to remember this. God's plan is greater than any fear, any doubt, any darkness you face. You are part of this story too, whether you realize it or not. So please, if this story moved you, take a moment to subscribe and join this journey with me. Comment below and tell me how God has shown His greatness in your life. And if you know someone who needs hope today, share this video with them, because everyone deserves to feel that golden warmth inside. Thank you for listening, and remember, the symphony is playing. Where will you stand when the crescendo comes?